wrong. That's Hi, Rodney Tattam from the Building Connector here today. Today I'm with Julia Hall. Julia is the CEO of McCormacks Australia. That's a company that's based in Melbourne, and they have so many interesting products. And I was really keen to get Julia on to discuss one in particular today. So, welcome, Julia. Thank you for your time today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Rodney.
Oh, thank you. Look, I'm just going to let you talk. We're going to talk about a product called SaveBoard, which I hadn't heard of until about 10 months ago. So I'm really keen to get some insight into it. So, Julia, the stage is yours.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'm going to take you guys through a bit of an introduction to SaveBoard. And obviously, if anybody has questions later on, feel free to either send them through to Rodney, or obviously you're always welcome to head on to our socials as well. It's just McCormacks Australia on Facebook and Instagram. So some of you are probably wondering, what on earth is SaveBoard? So SaveBoard is our first dip our toes in the water with the circular economy, which of course is very buzzwordy at the moment. SaveBoard was born out of a need to recycle Tetra Paks, essentially. So manufacturing happens in Hamilton in New Zealand and also in Warragamba in New South Wales. So the range includes wall sheets, ceiling tiles, temporary fencing, floor protection, and better joinery, which is used for kitchen carcasses and and joinery, as the name suggests. So you're probably wondering what on earth actually goes into SaveBoard, and you will probably be surprised that you have juice boxes, you've got milk cartons, we have coffee cups going in, casino playing cards. This was
Yeah, that caught my attention.
I know. So Star City Casino send us about 2 ton of playing cards per week, pre-shredded, which is very handy because we don't have to shred them then. But the funny thing about it, I mean, if you think about that, that's pretty disgusting how much waste that is. But how awesome that we now have an avenue, because that was probably going into landfill before the Warragamba plant was set up. Some of you would have seen the container deposit schemes. I think, has Tassie had those for very long, Rodney? Or have
I
they?
know. I don't know. I'm not really, look, I've actually not heard of them, to be honest.
Yeah, well, container deposit schemes are where you basically go, you might go to your local supermarket, or you might go to a vending machine, and you actually get 10 cents per container back. So that's for things like juice boxes, soda drink containers, that kind of thing, Coca-Cola. Any of those big names tend to pay to be part of that program. And then the Tetra Pak products actually then can come back to us. So um, also coffee pods. Now, there is a program with Nespresso where you can actually return your coffee pods. And I was a non-believer. I thought there's no way these things get recycled. But I took that picture myself at the SaveBoard factory, and the crushed up coffee pods are in fact being recycled. um, so that is pretty cool. And soft plastics. So some of you might remember the bit of the debacle called Red Cycle through COVID, when we had factories and factories full of plastic bags from the major retailers. That's
Yes, yes.
not a good situation at all. So SaveBoard is actually now the largest taker of Red Cycle products. So we are actively helping with that problem, which is fantastic. And believe it or not, those LDPE, the soft plastics, that is what we use as our glue. There are no glues or anything else in SaveBoard. It is just soft plastics melted down.
Wow.
And of course, lastly, we have SaveBoard offcuts. Now, we don't get a lot of SaveBoard offcuts yet because obviously we're fairly new, but long term, I'm sure we'll get a lot more. The only offcuts you get, or the only damaged product you get with SaveBoard, is what you physically decide to cut off. It's not a product that is damaged easily. I thought you might want to know about the manufacturing process. So I took some photos at the plant. Essentially what happens is, and that is a really good example there on the left-hand side of the container deposit waste that we get. So
that's how it comes in on
that's
the
how it comes in. It actually comes in big bales.
Yeah.
And then we sort of pull it out. And, you know, with Saveboard, it's a recipe. So it might be so many kilos of Tetra Packs or container deposit scheme material, and then so many kilos of red cycle plastic, and then so many kilos of plain cardboard. It just depending on which product we're making on the day. So that goes onto the conveyor belt and is then shredded. So it goes up into that hopper and is shredded and sort of tumbled, which then creates this mattress you see on the right-hand side. And that mattress of waste is what is then heated and pressed. So if we have a look at that process, what happens is that it gets a plastic layer on top and a paper layer on the bottom. And that is, there's two reasons for that. One, the plastic stops any cardboard from being proud on the product, and we don't want it proud because obviously if you have any cardboard sitting proud, there's an opportunity for mold, there's an opportunity for water ingress, that type of thing. So we want to avoid that. So the last layer is always plastic, and that is 80% recycled plastic there as well. And the back layer of paper is actually to help it roll along on the conveyor belt. So it's very functional. Yeah, so that's sort of how we move it along. And then you'll notice it goes through 2 heat presses, and it's a funny looking process. It's quite funny in winter as well. You get a lot of steam coming out, as you can imagine. I think it's about 200 and something degrees. Definitely don't want to have your hands in there. And then the last part of the process is a freeze press. And the reason we do that is because with soft plastics, they're quite sticky, which is why they're a great replacement for glue.
Yeah.
But if we left them sticky, that's not going to be great because it's going to attract everything to stick to it, which isn't practical on site. So that freeze press makes sure you've got a really nice clean finish on the save board, and then we just cut it to size. So you on the right hand side, you see that end product all cut to size there, and that's our multi-use product that was going through the plant on that day. So it's all post-consumer waste, container deposit schemes, coffee pods, all of those types of things, coffee cups, all going in mishmash together, because this product typically gets used outside as temporary hoarding. So a really good alternative to ply. It is really important, and we always talk about this with architects and builders, to mention the fact that the product is not perfect. Now, all of you know that our waste issue and our landfill, of course, is not perfect, and neither is Saveboard. There's a few little things to be mindful of. Number one, you can get a bit of color variation, and you can see that on the right-hand side with the 2 different blacks.
Yep.
So really important when people place orders, we say try to place your entire order in one go, because we want to send you all the one batch.
I suppose you think of it like tiles, I suppose. That's how you're going to match it.
Most definitely. Yeah, this is not a unique thing to say, but that's for sure. Anytime you introduce color, you're introducing batches and variation, aren't you?
You are.
The next picture is a bubble. So sometimes there might be a little air bubble, and this is caused when there might be a little bit of water from transport in those containers. And when the water, so when we heat, obviously the steam's trying to get out, and you can end up with these little air bubbles from time to time. We're getting better and better at that with our processing, but it's important to be aware there might be those, and that's part of the product. And then, of course, there's the odd crease, and that's just, you know, when it's going through the plant, sometimes you'll get a little crease. I've got a wall behind me, and we've got a small crease. You don't, all my visitors say they don't notice it. We notice it because we installed it. So, so that's the good part. And of course, now and again, you might get a little rip or something like that. So just mindful of the fact that it's not perfect, but it's also part of the story, and it really does draw attention, the texture and the look of the product. So it can be a great way of starting a conversation around waste and the circular economy, and what we can all do to be, to play a part in that.
Yeah. There we go.
So this is the range. So as I mentioned earlier, we've got the wall linings, the decorative wall panels, the hoarding, and the floor covering. So within there, you have this color range. So we have black, maraca, exposed blue, and white noise is the colored range.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Those are used, the way that I usually talk to architects about this is I let them know that these are a really good alternative to plasterboard with a wallpaper finish. So if you're doing a decorative wall, rather than thinking about wallpaper and plasterboard, which unfortunately end of life is usually landfill, especially in Tasmania,
Yeah.
with Save Board, if you're using that as your feature wall, you can put it up. It's going to last a really long time. It's going to stay looking good for a really long time. And when at some stage you do decide to change, the finish, you can send the Save Board back to us and we will recycle it back
Oh,
into the
wow.
product. Yeah.
I actually saw a photo on your social pages. I think it was maybe a Kentucky Fried Chicken in Sydney or something.
Yeah. I've got a photo of that coming
Oh,
up.
look,
Yeah,
looked incredible.
it does, doesn't
And
it?
that's just your finished product.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was really impressed with that. So you can get it in the four colors, like you can actually, that's how you would order it, exposed
That's how
black.
you would order it,
Yep,
exactly.
yep,
And
yep.
then if you're wanting to paint it, you can use the paper-faced product. We have a tapered edge or non-tape or a square edge, depending on what you're doing. But again, so if you're using a square edge in the paper-faced, you can actually have your chippies installing this rather than plasterers, because then you can just do an express joint, cork the edges, and then paint. So
Wow.
you're cutting out a trade in that process. So, we have a lot of conversations, as you can imagine, in trade around pricing and, it's a bit more expensive than plaster. Well, it performs way better than plaster, and you can cut out one of your trades in there as well. And of course, with the coloured products, you're not even painting. So that's cutting two trades out.
So with the exposed black, maraca, etc., the chippy can install those himself. Doesn't need
Yep.
it. Yeah, I mean that's a massive thing, I think, in the fact that they don't have to be waiting. They can plan, schedule their jobs better, which, obviously in Tasmania we get different weather climates which can slow jobs down and stuff like that. Whereas
Exactly.
that's an inside job for the
This is
carpenter.
definitely a catch-up job, isn't it?
I think that's a massive plus. But I really liked the one I saw, the Kentucky one. That was amazing.
Yeah, that's one of our
Yeah.
most popular colors, the exposed black. It looks awesome. And then you can see there the multi-use. That's the one that we can use as hoarding outside.
Okay.
And that's a fantastic replacement. Like if you think about on site with hoarding at the moment, we would typically use ply, cheap CD ply in most cases, and the apprentice will paint it black. You're putting top and bottom hats, and at the end of the year and a half or whatever, when the property is finished, all of that goes into landfill. All of the glue, all of the treatment, the paint, the whole lot, it just goes into landfill. There's no other option for it, unfortunately, in this country. So with the multi-use Save Board, when you put it up, you're still using your top and bottom hats, same process. You're getting better acoustic values. It's much stronger and hardier because it's obviously quite dense.
I
But on
guess
top
that's
of
compressed so much, isn't it?
exactly. But then on top of that, you're not having to paint it because it's a finished product. And when you're finished with it, you can either reuse it on another job, or if it really is at the stage where you can't use it again and you're thinking, oh, I'm really going to have to turf it, you don't turf it. You send it back to us and we will recycle it back through the plant. So
Wow.
it's unreal, isn't it?
That's amazing. That's
Um,
amazing.
so this is normally where I say, well, so why Save Board?
Yeah. You can say it, I think.
So there's lots of points, but the fact that it's a rigid board, so you don't have that patching, it stands up really well in high wear areas. So if you think about commercial, if you think about shop fitting, if you think about schools, this is a fantastic option. The exposed lining, we've already talked about the fact that it reduces your on-site costs because it can be installed by your chippies and you're not having to invite those other trades on site for this product. Every single board that goes up on a wall is saving a minimum of 20 kilos of waste from going into landfill.
Wow.
That is bloody compelling.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's 15% better acoustically than plasterboard. So again, I'm going to say schools, I'm going to say universities, commercial buildings, you know,
I think anything really, because we're putting thicker bats in walls to try and make things acoustically better and things like that. Well, I mean,
yeah,
we've already got a win already just by installing SaveBoard already, let alone what else you do, you know.
exactly. Yeah. It's carbon negative, so we're just getting our EPD finalised at the moment, but it's looking like around 5.5 kilos per square metre, I think it was, off the top of my head, don't quote me, but per square metre negative. So absolutely unreal for the carbon story. And of course, with the hoarding and the floor protection, again, we're reducing landfill. So instead of using floor protection where you're then ripping it up and throwing it in the bin at the end of the job, when you use SaveBoard, and we normally use downgrade material, so like we keep paper faced and exposed lining that might be quite creased or you know, not commercially no good for putting on a decorative wall. We keep that in stock just at a reduced rate so that it can be used as floor protection, and you can use that for years rather than every single time you have a job you're taping your floor protection down and then you're ripping it up and putting it in the
And
bin.
tearing it away. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's quite expensive to start
It
with.
actually is, exactly. Yeah. So that's a much better outcome because obviously we can recycle it at the end of the life as well. And that's my last point. All the products can be sent back to us. So
See, I actually like the last line because, you know, in my career is in what I do in a job, you know, house after house is a mountain of plaster.
yeah,
It's the mountain. There's always a mountain. There's never ever just
there is.
one or two bits, and
I,
it's just speared out there and
yeah.
carved off to the tip.
Yeah, well, I was talking to, because obviously you can recycle plaster, but it's very difficult because there's not a lot of places that will take it back.
Yeah,
I don't know that there is anywhere in Tasmania that I've noticed.
I don't think so. No.
No, but with so I was talking to some builders in Melbourne and they were telling me that they literally put a 6 cubic metre bin on site
Yep.
as soon as the plasterers turn up. And at the end of the plastering, it is full.
It's full. Yeah, it's always full.
6 cubic meters. That is disgusting. I
Oh,
was
look,
horrified.
every job I would go past has a mountain of plaster.
Yeah.
That's just thrown away, you know, like, and
Yeah.
it's a waste to everybody.
Yeah. Well, the
You know.
thing is, you can't avoid it though with plaster because you get so much incidental damage because
Yep.
it is not very dense. It's very
Yep.
flexible and very breakable. And that's the thing I love about SaveBoard on site is that you're only cutting off what you don't want. There is no incidental damage. Just doesn't happen.
I reckon it looks really impressive.
Yeah.
It does.
So that brings me, oops, press the wrong button. That
Yeah.
brings me to my next point is it is actually a really easy swap. It's just about making the decision essentially at the end of the day. Every new house uses around 800 square meters of plasterboard and however much goes in the bin after that as well. But that's the equivalent of upcycling 8,000 kilos of carton, soft plastics and mixed fiber.
Wow.
So basically, if everybody, or even if just 10% of the population said, you know what, when I build my new home, I'm not putting plaster and I'm actually going to use SaveBoard, that would save 8,000 kilos of waste per house. Imagine that.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
especially the amount of
Um,
houses that are being built.
Exactly. So this was Elizabeth Murdoch College. They wanted to give Save Board a try because they loved the story.
Mm,
And so they did their fit out. They were putting in some, what do you call them, divider walls
yeah,
to put in extra classrooms. Now, they would ordinarily put in plasterboard in here, and the teachers let us know that the noise is still quite bad. Now, they've finished, and of course, you wouldn't even know that's not plaster, except for the fact that you don't notice the other classroom. You don't notice the other class because of the acoustics with SaveBoard. So they've been really, really wrapped with the results of the SaveBoard. So hopefully we'll get some more schools giving that a go.
yeah, yeah. So that's save board around the bottom part there.
The whole bottom and top.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you can see you can plaster it like a normal plaster with
Yes.
a tapered edge. That's what they chose to do in this case.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, you don't need to go to that length. You can, I think they used a stipple roller at the end as well with the paint just to sort of hide, I guess, the orange peelness of the save board because the paper face is not as smooth
Yeah.
as some finishes.
As I look at those walls there,
Yeah.
you can see there's no you need something to separate your noise because there's not much between it, is it?
No,
So
there's not
anything you
anything
get that's acoustically
that
better
is exactly.
is a win, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah, no, sorry, keep going.
You're right. So this is more aspirational at the moment when we're not here yet, but for the future, we want to have collection on site. So we'd really like to have drop-off points at hardware stores, and we're having a chat to some of the larger chains about getting that off the ground.
Yeah.
You might be able to help us with that, Rodney. We want to make it really easy to recycle the offcuts because SaveBoard, of course, is 100% recyclable. So the other things that can go into SaveBoard, if we think about the hardware industry, is obviously the timber wrap. And I know that obviously Bunnings and a lot of guys out there on the trade are also having a lot of timber wrap, so that can be recycled back into SaveBoard as well. So this is like the aspirational part of it, and then I've got a whole heap
I've
of
seen this.
inspiration for
I
you.
saw this one on your social pages. That is amazing.
Oh, it's my favorite photo of SaveBoard.
Whereabouts is that?
This was actually a pop-up cafe in New York, so it
Oh, wow.
was one of the prototype projects before we were even involved with SaveBoard, but it
That's
is
pretty good.
awesome. Yeah. This was the Alexander McQueen exhibition at the National Gallery of Victoria.
Oh, yeah.
So this was all beautiful fashion and with the backdrop of SaveBoard. And we're about to do another project with them as well. So watch this space. Keep an eye on the socials.
If that was plain board and painted, it doesn't have the same effect.
Oh, not at all. No, it looked awesome. This is your KFC
Yeah, I know this
example.
one. Yeah, I know this one.
This is KFC in Penrith. So KFC national specification is now for SaveBoard. So sometimes installed on the ceilings, as you can see on the right-hand side, but mostly on the walls.
Yeah.
And they are loving it because you can imagine when you have plaster down the bottom, you get a lot of damage and they're
Yes.
not getting that because
Yes.
SaveBoard's so tough.
Yes.
We did a FIFA World Cup museum in Darling Harbour. That was earlier this year. Was that this? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was this year.
World Cup was a bit
Or
long.
was it last year?
Yeah, beginning. Yeah, I'm a soccer man. Beginning of like December 22.
Oh, there you go. Was it that long ago?
Yeah, goes quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Far out. It doesn't feel like that long ago. We
No.
learned a lot on that project.
Yeah, I bet.
We had product coming from New Zealand, product coming from Warragamba, product coming from our Melbourne warehouse just to get enough because it was SaveBoard inside and out. It was a massive building. And the great thing is all of those panels, they were made to be put together on site and then unbolted and taken back. So they're actually still in the factory and they'll be reused for other projects.
Wow.
Yeah. Woolies, we have the national spec for Woolies as well. So you'll notice at your local Woolies, when they have an upgrade, you'll have multi-use on the counters, in the self-service checkouts, and even on the counter.
There's actually a new one near me, about 12 months old, maybe.
Yeah.
I might have to go in there
You'll
tonight
have to go and have a
and
look.
have a look. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't have, yeah, I will. I'll go in tonight.
Quite popular in office buildings is to use the save board as ceiling tiles. So they can either be cut by us into ceiling tile size, or they can be cut on site, and they can be put up as full sheets as well. We've had a few of those now as well. And again, in offices, you know, doing the feature wall with the save board just means that you don't have any of that incidental damage like you do with plaster. This is a garage, and really popular in garages in New Zealand in particular, because of, one, the damage, but also the acoustics. There would also, I would say, that they probably would notice the thermal qualities. We don't have the numbers for save board, but you can imagine with all of that cardboard fibre, which of course is timber fibre, it would have very good thermal properties.
Yeah, excellent.
This is a kicker under a kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously feature wall and theatre room, which like
Acoustically,
when I first saw this product, I was like, oh my gosh, I can see this in theatre rooms all over Australia.
Yeah.
The hoarding side of things. So on the right-hand side, you've got the multi-use hoarding that can be used outside, and on the left-hand side, this is an opportunity for people to use temporary hoarding in, you know, like shopping centres with the shop fitters, that kind of thing. There's a system that they use that makes it really easy to put the paper face straight in. And what I would love to see, and I would love to see this in Tasmania, is instead of using vinyl stickers, which is what's very common in hoarding in shopping centres, I would love to see us go back to painting and screen printing, because that will allow the save board to be painted and screen printed over and over again. And eventually, when it's looking no good anymore, then obviously we can recycle
you
it.
recycle
it. We can't recycle vinyl. Vinyl's a shocker. So yeah, you guys can do your bit down there to get that one over the line.
Yeah.
This was Decor Design last year. So we did the floor for Decor and Design. There's a company called what's she called? Kari Sohardi, Circular Design Thinking. So if anybody's looking for advice on circular design and how to get involved in that side of things, Kari is an amazing wealth of knowledge, and her whole company and ethos is around the circular economy and helping designers to move into that space, because it's hard, it's a minefield, and nobody knows, you know, how do you judge a product. So she did an amazing job last year connecting lots of us companies that do a little bit of this, and now we all know each other. So it's been great. It's almost created a whole new community with all of these different suppliers.
Can I say I'd not heard of a circular economy until you spoke about it today?
Oh, there you go.
No idea.
Okay.
Must be, so I'm going to be...
It might not have hit the island yet, Rodney.
No, I'm going to be checking it and Googling.
Yes, definitely. Well, look up Kari, Circular Design Thinking. She's a really good place to start. We did the Gather Round last year as well. This was our first save board project, actually, was the Gather Round in Adelaide. So yeah, they had all of the drinks tables and all of the serving areas were all save board the whole way around. Turned out really well, and those are actually still being used today. So they've been reused on a number of different events. That was the Sustainable Events Company in Melbourne. They put this together. They did a great job. This is Elite Supplements. We have the national specification for Elite Supplements. So all of the black above and down the sides, you can't really see it very well, but it's all save board. It's the lighting. and the Green Design Show this year. So 2024 saw the first Green Design Show as part of Decor and Design in Melbourne. So we were able to take Saveboard along. We had our giant Tarzos that they were created for the Buninyong Sustainability Festival with Justin Wayers. And yeah, so we had those there. We had kids coming past and building a little bit more onto it. And of course, a bit of a display on what waste goes into Saveboard, because it makes it real, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Our whole floor was Saveboard in the exposed black as well, and it held up really well.
Yeah, yeah.
This is our showroom, a nice little sitting area. So that just gives you an idea of what a Saveboard wall can look like.
It's
so
really, really impressive, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, the wall is upcycled Tetra Paks, and the chairs and table are beautiful retro pieces from my neighbour, believe it or not. So all of our furniture in our showroom is all secondhand.
Okay.
We like to live our values.
That's why they're different.
That's it, exactly. And last one is just our bench top. So this is actually the Better Joinery. This is our bench top in the showroom, and you can see it's actually been cut with a miter edge, and it's holding up really well. It looks great. People always comment like, oh, what's that one? Very interesting. So we can do bench tops, but just not food grade. We don't have a food grade certificate. And so the Better Joinery product is actually available now in a black and a white. And yeah, I would love if any joiners are wanting to give it a go to reach out, because I think this is a really exciting product.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, basically just to say to everybody, this is basically one of the best opportunities to create a true circular economy, a product that can be recycled. There is no end of life. So reach out.
So, Julia, can I say that I've been in this industry an awful long time. This would be one of the most interesting products that I've ever seen. And I mean, not because I'm talking to you, is that's why I sort of I've been saying I want to actually get, because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
I'd say in Tassie, most don't either as well. But it's really interesting. And I mean, and I can just see the benefit, especially on you know, on high-end jobs and things like that, and you know, commercial jobs. Definitely. Because it's a win in so many different areas. And do you have a showroom in Melbourne that people can visit?
We do. If you head to Unit 1, number 10, Carson Avenue in Keysborough.
How do I spell Carson?
Carson.
Avenue, Keysborough.
Keysborough.
And when is it open?
We're there Monday to Thursday, 9 till 5, and on Fridays, 9 till 3.
Is it by appointment or you just turn up?
Our preference is by appointment, but we are always here. So if you get stuck, worst case scenario, you'll have Ben in our warehouse showing you around. But yeah, all of us are in and out of here all of the time. Yeah.
I'm thinking because, like, from Tassie, lots of people go over for weekends and you know a few days off, or maybe go for footy. I mean, and
yeah,
maybe is it Keysborough? Do you say?
It is, yeah.
Which is whereabouts from the city?
It's probably like half an hour southeast of the city.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably gone through three cities in Tasmania.
I know, right?
No, because I'll share that, because you know it's a great opportunity to come, and I know obviously you have so many more great products out there.
You do.
And it'd be a great opportunity to have a look in that. So I'll post all that and you know try and share that, because I think, you know, if you're in Melbourne, fit something like this in and learn something and see what's available.
Yeah. Well, and if anybody's heading to Melbourne and they've got a little bit of time, the best thing is to send us an email. Our email address is saveboard@mccormacksaustralia.com.au. So Saveboard, SAVEBOARD.
I'll post that in one of my news.
Perfect. That would be great.
Definitely.
And then that way Dylan can make a specific time, and we can actually take you through the training, take you through the warehouse. We can even, I mean, if you've got time, we can take you to show you some of the jobs in Melbourne.
Okay, no, I'll share that. I have a weekly newsletter. I'll share that because I think that this is something that's really different to anything that I've seen.
Yeah,
So this is a great opportunity to go, well, look, I'm in Melbourne. Let's go and have a look at it, and they can bang it and they can do different things. Do you coat it? Like I'm looking at say like Kentucky Fried Chicken one. We use that one
yep.
because is that coated? What do they do to give it that look? Was
They
that
don't need to coat it. So the Kentucky Fried Chicken is this finish. It's called exposed black,
yes?
and so that already has that final layer of plastic that protects. Um,
So you just put it up.
you just literally you put it up. You can either use a nail gun or you can use the Buildex decking. The Buildex make a black decking screw,
Yes, they do.
and so
Yeah,
then it sort of blends in.
yeah.
And then for the cover strips, we chose to use a black cover strip in this case, and it's just got black screws that then went in. But there's also little T-bars that you can put in, and just to cover the gap. So then the other option is just to cork the gap. So in most cases, you'll find that there's a 4 mil gap left and then corking in the gaps just to finish it off nicely.
Wow. I'm
Yeah.
truly, I'm really, really impressed with this product. Really impressed. So Julia, I'll leave you there. I'm really happy. And if there's any questions, I'm going to ask if there's any questions, and they can send them to me, and I'll forward them on to you guys.
Perfect.
And but I really thank you for your time. But well, I reckon this is really, really, this is a game changer.
It is definitely a game changer. Yeah. No, we're really excited to be part of the project. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, hopefully
So
we can send some down to Tassie soon.
that's cool. Thank you for your time anyway.
No problem. Thanks, Rodney.
Okay. Thank you.